Well, with gasoline still about $1 more a gallon than this time last year, alternative energy sources make more and more sense. Yet each has its own set of drawbacks. Coal contributes to greenhouse gases. Corn-based ethanol puts pressure on food prices. And wind is absolutely great when it blows. But one potential energy source is pretty much a constant without harming the environment. As our Brian Bindley shows us, a growing number of Americans are counting their energy savings thanks to a little help from up above.
That 80-gallon tank feeds the 50-gallon tank that we have for the downstairs.
Going green doesn't just mean using alternative fuels. It also means using natural resources, like the sun.
A solar dryer here, one of the cheapest solar investments you can make to save money for yourself.
Now, while homeowner Fred Hansen points out the simplest of solar-powered appliances, drying your clothes outside does add up.
If you consider that a dryer uses about 4 kilowatts of energy an hour, and a family does 2 loads twice a week, that's 4 loads, that would be 16 kilowatts for something the sun will do for you for free.
But Hansen's ingenuity hasn't stopped there. He uses the sun to power his home and heat his water.
Most people say, well, all you're doing is producing enough to turn some light bulbs on, and we're producing way more than that. My gas bill that was primarily for the 2 hot water heaters has been cut in half, so that's a benefit there. Solar electric, last year I had 12 panels that made about 15% of my electric.
Hansen learned about solar power on a trip to Hawaii, and when he came home, he also learned about a tax credit to make the process economical.
It's still a system that is getting better, but is expensive and probably is not practical for most people without the tax credit. And unfortunately, the tax credit right now is going to end up the end of this year.
This actually has the IRS tax form 5695 you can download, and the expiration date is right there, December 31st of this year.
Something Scott Frazier with OSU BioAg Engineering says homeowners should look into and use now before it's too late.
If you're at a remote location, off the grid where it would cost several $1,000s to get power in there, then that's something to look at. Or if you're just interested in this from an environmental point of view and you want to, do your part, so to speak.
What Frazier is talking about and Hansen is using is photovoltaics, where solar panels actually create electricity to run your house and even turn back your electric meter, putting electricity back into the grid.
I'm not paying anything for electricity right now. The electric company's paying me.
A process that isn't cheap to install.
With the electric company coming, improving it, and running power lines to the breaker box, I think it's somewhere between $800 and $1,000 a panel.
And with Hansen's 20 panels, the bill adds up fast. But thanks to the 30% federal tax incentives, you can receive up to $2,000 for solar electric and solar water heating systems.
Well, probably for residential, we're thinking that solar thermal, so in other words to provide hot water, is probably the best bang for your buck.
That is because a typical system runs around $2,000 to $3,000 with the tax credit. But most importantly, the system works with your current hot water heater.
There's several different kinds. The simplest kind would just feed into your existing water tank. Okay. And you would keep, whether it was natural gas or electric, you'd keep that tank operating on natural gas or electric. It's just that the thermostat in the tank would sense that it's getting hot water from somewhere else.
We used to have a problem that if we did laundry and dishes, you had to wait quite a period of time before you take a shower or a bath and have hot water. After I put the solar hot water in, we have not had any problem whatsoever.
A resourceful way to save money while going green, from an advanced level right down to the most basic of all applications.
So Brian, how unique is Mr. Hansen's desire to get all his energy needs from the sun?
Well, I think as we look now, he's not the only one doing it. There's a lot of people really looking into this trend. What would be really unique and what would be a really nice effect of this is if we actually met the 1997 U.S. Department of Energy's initiative to have 1 million households powered by solar energy. And if that is done, according to General Electric, we could reduce carbon dioxide emissions by 2 million fewer tons, and that would be 181,000 cars going around the world once.
Now, that's a really impressive number, but you mentioned the tax credit, and it's a tax credit that's set to expire.
It is, and that's a shame because it will expire 12/31 of this year, and that tax credit does a lot in order to get this technology into the households. What we've seen in a lot of areas, especially in some of the bigger countries that are starting to look into it, they're starting to build their plans for it. Over in California, Pacific Gas and Electric is having to put a hold on an 800 megawatt facility that would actually generate enough electricity for 239,000 homes. They just can't do it because it's not affordable.
So without these tax incentives, is the solar power industry, is it sustainable? Is it viable to stand on its own?
I think we're beginning to see that. I mean, this is not new technology. It's been done in the 70s when we had the oil and gas crunch then. What we've done over this time span is eventually made it more efficient, found more ways and better ways to incorporate it in households and make it less expensive for people to buy. Also, we're seeing a lot of activity in the stock market. People are investing in these companies as the price of fuel only looks like it's going to get higher. What's really unique is European countries that are the leaders in this industry are developing power plants in Saudi Arabia, Sahara. Economic powers like China are putting in their own plants as well. And so with all this research and all this activity, I definitely see this as being a dependable, renewable energy that we can use and get a lot of effort out of. So I really see the future, if you'll forgive the pun, as extremely bright for solar power energy.
Oh, great. Well, we will forgive the pun. Great story.
Thank you.